Society Matters.
Welcome back here to hmTV. I'm your host, Richard Acritelli, here on the Fog of War and Humanity. For our second episode, we have Tom Spier with his massive military helmet collection. Tommy, which helmet do you have in front of you right now?
This is a Bulgarian helmet. It's called Model 1936. There were at least 4 different variations of the helmet manufactured during the 30s. This particular example was repainted post-war, and I believe it has a post-war liner. These helmets were very, very expensive until the Iron Curtain came down, and now you can buy them, at least a number of years ago, for $20, $30, $50 instead of hundreds.
That looks a little German.
It does
with its design there.
Yep. It has air vents. You can see a little hole in here, so you can get a little air in the helmet. It's a very robust helmet. It has what's called a rolled rim, sort of an expensive manufacturing process as opposed to just stamping them out. The lining system's pretty good. It actually almost looks like the German Second World War lining system, very similar.
And what's with the strap?
It's just a robust helmet.
The strap up top, is that just the way it's sitting?
Just to store it, yep.
Okay.
It slips right off. You should feel it. It's heavy.
Oh, boy. It's like, you look at this. One thing, these things aren't always built for comfort or for ease. This is pretty interesting.
It's easy to visually identify.
Are the Bulgarians known for making pretty good, equipment, national defense equipment?
They certainly made a really good helmet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you want to take this here.
Yeah. So the Bulgarians, they ended up adopting a helmet, manufacturing a helmet that looks very similar to the Italian World War II helmet, model 1933. So if you hand me the helmet,
this one here?
Yeah, that one. So this helmet is your standard Italian Second World War helmet. It's a pretty robust helmet. It has these breathable air vents. You can see the holes in the vents. It has a suspended liner to keep your head away from the helmet shell. It has it's a pretty solid helmet. If you look at the profile of the helmet, maybe you can hand me the other one. It looks very similar to this, where are we here? This Bulgarian helmet. So there's often confusion, like people think they're getting an Italian helmet, but they're actually buying a Bulgarian helmet.
I tell you, like during World War II, Italians had a difficult time fighting in really both wars. And I don't want to say anything to upset a lot of people, especially my old Italian grandfather. But I'm not really sure if the Italians were known for their war-making capabilities, and some of their resources might have been secondary compared to a lot of other countries. That Bulgarian one looks like it's put together a lot stronger, a lot firmer.
Collectors these Bulgarian helmets are known as Model 51, Model 72 helmets, but you can see slight differences. There's not a flare on one of them in the front. The rivets are a little bit different. So some guys will be absolutely fascinated by these differences, and they could have, a dozen different helmets with different sizes, perhaps different liners. So the varieties are potentially numerous. I've always just collected the different shapes.
Sure.
As you can see, these are different shapes. So.
All right, so now you want to get into the Hungarian one or the Czech?
Yeah, let's talk about how about the Czechs?
The Czech one, yeah. Now the Czechs during World War II, they were known, before World War II, they were known for, their national defense industry. And the Germans tried to use that under Heydrich to make war-making, resources for the German military. So I'm sure a little of that probably went back in towards the Cold War itself.
So these Czech helmets look very, very similar to the Russian Second World War helmets, like the M39 specifically, where the liner's sort of suspended. But a lot of people get confused between the Russian and the Czech helmets. But in my experience, the liners usually have like a separation, so you'll see some felt in between the helmets. This is sort of a little bit unusual because it has the like Y straps.
Okay.
Hand me the other Czech helmet. This has like a band that would be used for foliage or camouflage, and it has a single strap.
Does that look a little American? Does that look more American than German?
Not. It looks
not
well,
really.
It looks Russian to me.
Russian.
These are. This is like the same as the. It's really a Russian helmet.
Okay.
It's the same thing basically. They were aligned with one another. So, and we have the Hungarian helmets, which also look very similar to the Russian model 1939 and 1940 helmet. This particular helmet, this is has an interesting lining system. It's well, isolates the liner, the shell from the head. It has those a nice chin strap system. It has a really nice finish, nice weight. You just have a feeling it's a really good quality helmet. This is known as the Hungarian Model 1965 helmet.
So that's the range is from the 50s
well,
to 65?
I think the helmet shell, they were probably referring it to it as the model, I think they're referring to it as a model 1950, but because they have a different lining system, they called it like model 5075 because that's when they started using this lining system. And
Is that ventilation, all those holes?
Yeah. Feel it's a nice helmet.
Look at this here. This is pretty wild.
This
really actually looks somewhat comfortable, right?
Yeah, quality manufacture, really good finish.
Now, do you have a Czech helmet over there? Just any one Czech helmet?
Yeah.
So you guys at home are looking at two Warsaw Bloc countries' helmets. I have a Hungarian, right? And you have a Czech helmet. So in the 1950s...
Here I have the Russians. Now you see they all look very, very similar.
So in the 1950s, you have the Hungarians. What was that, 1954, 1956? They revolt against communist rule. They revolt against the Soviets. You had the Hungarian freedom fighters. And then later in the 1960s, closer towards more modern time, they're going to revolt against their own communist government. And of course, the Soviets were going to most likely be wearing that other helmet. So not everybody was happy to be under communist rule, but it stayed that way, up until about 1989, 1990.
Hey, can you hand me that other helmet right there? This is a...
this is pretty heavy.
This is the earlier Hungarian helmet has cloth pads on the inside. I'm not quite sure about this helmet. I mean, it's a real helmet, but I'm not really quite sure about this stencil on here. But this would be called the Hungarian Model 1950 helmet.
What is that star representative of? Communism?
I imagine so.
Right?
I just don't know if that white outline is original to the helmet. And when I say original to the helmet, I don't know if somebody put it on there to enhance the collector value.
Yeah,
I didn't
years later.
I didn't pay a lot of money for it. I was a little skeptical when I got it, but it didn't cost me much. And it is an example.
Where you purchased that?
I think I was at the maybe the Show of Shows in Louisville, Kentucky, a big military show.
And they have
I might have been, or it could have been somewhere else. I'm not sure.
And they have all kinds of helmets like this here?
Yeah, the guy did. He had a whole bunch.
So now
I got a good deal on the helmet, even if the stencil's bad.
When you're looking to enhance your collection, what are things that you're looking for in terms of
a helmet shape that I don't have?
That you don't have itself there?
At this point, I have just about every shape that I can afford, and I ran out of room. So you guys, the Rocky Point VFW has about 20 of them.
Yeah.
Just holding them. We'll have to cycle them in and out.
Sure.
Give you a different display.
Yeah.
But go to the museum. He did a great job.
When we do
Rocky
the expansion.
Point VFW. Yeah, it's great.
Now, when you look at those helmets itself, are there any helmets that you tend to stay away from? That you know they might not hold up, or you just don't like the design, or
I'm always apprehensive about helmets with like transfers. Like this helmet. This is a German Second World War helmet. I'm pretty darn sure it's real. I mean, it just you can't get this sort of wear on it. But what makes me concerned about German helmets is I really don't know I don't know a huge amount about them.
Sure.
I'm a survey collector. I'll collect like a German M35 helmet, German M40 helmet, German M42 helmet,
Okay.
German model 17, 18, 16, different shapes that I can readily identify. Some guys are really good in the decals because the decals were made by different manufacturers, so they can look different. It's just not.
What is that decal? Is that German Army?
German Army.
Okay. Wear them on, right?
The thing with it, the decals too is post-war, there were decals floating around. So a guy can take a German helmet, a legitimate German helmet, and put a decal on it, but the decal's not original to the helmet.
It was just somebody over here who had a German helmet.
Might have done it. You just don't know. I mean, there's some guys who...
I mean, that could have been done in the late 1940s, 50s, or 60s for all you know, right?
Could have been done in 2024.
Yeah.
You know, some guys, there's some really great researchers out there, and the helmets have identifying stamps in the skirts where you have like numerical sequences. So you might be able to figure out, like there's like a number in there. There's another number in here. Like will have like manufacturer stamps. So some guys they have the ability to figure out.
In those stamps, would that be stamped in German?
No, it's just alphanumerical stamps.
Okay.
But it will have maybe one or two letters delineating where it was manufactured. And then it has, I think, like lot numbers of the different helmets. But guys who've done research on it can sometimes locate the paperwork saying that like the Army ordered so many helmets and this transfer was applied to these helmets.
Now,
so you might be able to figure it out.
Today you have all these different shows on, and they all look for Best Buys and history stuff, and then people bring things in, and then they try to determine like how credible they are. Is there any one show today that you've noticed where they do that sort of thing? Where
not really.
You know, never seen any of those shows where you know they're trying to sell the stuff, and then they right off the bat they can look at it and say, "Oh, well, this is a fake," or "I'm only going to give you so much money," or so on. Now, if you were to sell some of your helmets, just say if, right? Which helmets would probably be the most desirable that people might like to have?
I think there are a lot of guys who collect German helmets. I don't have a lot of German helmets, but maybe some of the German helmets. And I have some prototype U.S. helmets that are interesting.
I mean, I would think some of those Czech and Hungarian, especially here, you know, where you have a lot of Americans of those European groups that had parents that tried to get out or they fought against the communists and stuff like that, they'd probably be interested in something along those lines.
I think for young collectors, the way to go is to collect post-war helmets, because the Second World War helmets have gotten very costly, even the standard U.S. helmets.
Sure.
I mean, they're very expensive. Something I could buy at an Army Navy store for $15 or $10. I mean, now they.
But how many years ago was that, though? How many years ago?
I don't know. Like I've been collecting since I was 7.
Yeah.
So it's a long time.
Remember the place in Port Jefferson, that big Army?
Max Schneider's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get stuff at Max Schneider's.
He moved a couple times. He had a couple fires, I think it was, and he just moved around. And he had some heavy duty stuff there back in like the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. One
of my neighbors a number of years ago gave me a really nice German helmet. It was a double decal Waffen-SS helmet.
Okay.
And I said to him, the helmet's worth a lot of money. He goes, I don't care about that. He goes, I really want you to have it in your collection. I said to him, I'm going to consider myself holding the helmet. for your family. And it was a great helmet,
Wow.
very rare, very valuable. And when his grandson got back from Afghanistan, I talked to his uncles and his mom, and I told them that I wanted to give it to him. And they were okay with it, but I felt sick. It was like I have hundreds of helmets, but that was a beautiful helmet.
Sure.
There's a real void on the shelf, but
Yeah.
he apparently put it in a case. I think I gave him a picture of his grandfather holding it, and it didn't belong with me.
We have in the museum a Latvian Waffen SS with a bullet hole in it.
Really?
And, you know, sometimes, like I was just saying before, like, you know, they have all these different shows where you can get these different items, or they try to figure out what the costs are and if they're, you know, if they're not a copy, you know, if they're legitimate. And I got that off of Facebook Marketplace. And he actually just gave it to us because he knew it was going to a museum. And he actually had a stand made up, the year where they figured that the bullet came in. And it was like this, I mean,
I'd love to see it.
it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's the other side, it's the enemy side, right? And what it stood for, but it was pretty interesting to add to our collection, you know? And then the helmets that you gave us on loan are tremendous, from German World War I all the way up to the Bulgarian and the Czech and the Hungarian and so on. Now, what about this helmet here?
It's a Yugoslavian Serbian helmet. It's sort of a neat little helmet. It has a little bit of a Germanic shape. Looks actually reminiscent of the Spanish helmets of the 1930s. E-bar helmet.
Now,
Nice lining system.
how old is that helmet?
Probably 30 years old. It's called a NE44, but I think that was the model number, but they started making them, I believe, in 1952.
And this helmet's 30 years old with a design that comes about in 1950s?
Yeah, well, it might have even been designed before. You know, there's this guy, Marzetti. This is a book that he wrote. This is when I'm talking about the different designations, I'm utilizing Marzetti's
Helmets itself.
designations.
Yeah.
I hope I got them right. I mean, I'd have to like flip through the pages
Sure,
to make
sure.
sure I'm pretty close.
Have you ever met him, or is he an older?
I think he's an older guy.
Yeah.
He's I don't think he's old, but he's maybe. I really don't know. I assume he's in his 60s, but he's a wealth of information on helmets. He really knows.
This
what
is
he's
his
doing.
craft, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, if you need an estimate on a helmet, or you want to ascertain whether a helmet's legit, I mean, you got to reach the right people, because a lot of the time guys just don't know.
What about Jane's?
So that infantry.
It's like the military defense information. You know, those are usually big manuals. Do you have any of those that you'll look at?
I have one, but not for the helmets.
Not for the helmets, there. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, they're a handful of guys, dealers who have really good reputations, who really like the subject matter, and that's who you need. Or they're collectors out there who have vast amounts of information. So if you ever have an issue, or you want to talk to somebody who'll give you probably a correct answer, I can put you in touch with them.
Now, that helmet there, while it has a little bit of an older design, they were facing off against each other within the Yugoslavian civil war or crisis or war between the Croats and the Muslims and the Serbians, and right, the Slovenes and the Kosovars, and you know, back in the early 1990s.
Absolutely. You know, these helmets are sort of fun. You can get them. They don't cost a lot of money on eBay. They have different transfers on them. And again, anything with a transfer, I'm just never sure.
Okay.
But some guys will probably just collect these. They're guys who probably know everything about these helmets. Again, I'm a survey collector. I collect different shapes. I like being able to go through the lineage by date and model, and that's where it ends for me.
I could tell you that's probably some of the toughest Europeans were wearing that Yugoslavian helmet. You know, you had Marshal Tito, who end of World War II stood up to Stalin, non-alignment, you know. They kind of trained for war against both the East and the West.
Sure.
I think Kelly's Heroes, remember the Clint Eastwood movie?
Yeah.
I think that was filmed in Yugoslavia, which probably was interesting that you had a lot, you know, Don Rickles, comedian, you know, was filming this World War II movie in the heart of a communist country, but they kind of wanted to be left alone. And the interesting thing is with the Yugoslavians during World War II, you had a lot of the Germans wearing these helmets going out in the countryside, and they weren't coming back. You know, so any German staff cars, officers that were heading out there were widely targeted. And the only maybe good thing about communism was from 1945, 1990, it kept a lot of those different ethnic groups from fighting against each other, and they were communists. They weren't one ethnic group over another, and so on. So as a young man, I almost went to Yugoslavia in 1995, 96, but as with the Army, everything changes, and we kind of kept a watchful eye, on that fighting in Europe and Southeast Europe there. Now, is this helmet here?
That's the Hungarian one.
This is the Hungarian one?
Yeah, we talked. This is the one where I said it was a nice liner and really great finish, just a nice helmet.
That's a sharp-looking helmet there, right?
Yep. It's a great liner.
What would something like that go for today?
I don't know, probably between $30 and $75.
Wow.
I think I haven't bought a helmet for years.
For years, yeah.
I ran out of space.
Yeah.
I'm lucky my wife hasn't left me. I had a buddy of mine in Connecticut, and he had.
Was she happy to see the boxes going out, or today, or she didn't know?
I don't think she realized.
All right.
I had a buddy of mine in Connecticut who had about maybe 2,000, 2,500 helmets, and they were throughout the house on little heads.
Wow.
It was a magnificent, beautiful collection.
He didn't have like a barn out back where he stuck them in?
He was single. He was a single guy, and he just had the ability to. It was like a museum.
Wow.
There are guys in this world who have really great collections, and no museum has collections like some of these private collections. Is he
one of the better collections that you ever seen there?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of good. There was a fellow out in California who had a fabulous collections within collections.
And you stay in touch with these guys?
Those guys are now deceased.
Wow.
But I did stay in touch with them. But they were literally collections within the collections. And you look at Mr. Marzetti's book. You see the names of the top collectors who share their collection. So when you look at my collection, it's a good collection, but it's like there's good and there's good. And mine's good for Shoreham, but I mean these guys are like world class collectors.
Yeah, but a little different though too. Everyone's got different responsibilities and different things in their lives. You can't always just do that either, right? So now, if you had an opportunity to get a newer helmet today, what would it be? Is there anything that you have your eyes on or that piques your interest?
Maybe some of the additional U.S. World War I prototypes. I find them interesting.
You ever see any of the collection from Camp Upton at all?
No, I got to go over there. I'd like that.
They have a lot of stuff. I think after COVID, it kind of got boxed up and, not necessarily out for collection, but they do have a good collection of resources there.
Yeah.
Now, do we have anything else here?
Yeah, we have the Romanian helmets. So, how much time do we have?
We got some time.
So this is a Dutch Second World War helmet, and it has sort of an unusual finish. I think there are different versions. I think one was an M34, another model 1938, and the only reason I brought this along is because the Romanians they essentially used the Dutch helmet shells, which were relined with, I believe, German helmet liners with the decal removed. And after the Second World War, they ended up, they liked this pattern helmet, and they ended up utilizing the Dutch shape helmet for their own helmet. So I have two of these Romanian.
That's a little bit, would that be considered longer or wider than like the Czech or Hungarian?
Yeah, it's just a different shape. Okay. But here are the two. These are Romanian, I think they're called.
Is this a paratrooper?
This is a paratrooper. This is the designation, I believe, is a model 1973 paratrooper helmet. And you can see it. The shape is sort of similar. They're sort of similar. Give me the other one. This is a model. This is a better example. This is a model 1973-80, I believe. That's what they referred to it. And you can see the shape is sort of similar. I wish I could get to this. Anyway,
that's a long.
The lining system is somewhat similar too. So it's sort of a neat helmet. Also has in the back, it has a little spot to put a strap so you can tie the helmet down, as does the Dutch helmet.
Now, why was that so long in the back? That just doesn't seem like
But this,
that would be comfortable in the back of your head.
But this, now this was just suspended from a belt or something.
No, but the end of the helmet, though, the steel.
Oh, I don't know.
That's
It's
just,
designed maybe to keep the sun off your neck or something. The Dutch had a helmet for their troops in the Indies, and it has like a leather flap. It's a specifically designated helmet. I have one of them, but I think it was repainted for civil defense use. The Japanese actually utilize them too, and every once in a while you'll see one with a Japanese stencil of sorts.
that's pretty interesting considering 80 years ago, right, at almost this moment that the war came to an end. All right, so we're going to come back for a third episode with Tom Spier here on hmTV and the Fog of War and Humanity.